Hey everybody, ArtzyDude here. Welcome to the ArtzyDude channel once again. It's the place where creativity is more important than knowledge, but the acquisition of great knowledge, it's an art form, and the two go hand in hand. Hey, I'm here with my good friend, Sheila. She's watching me right now. Sheila. Love Sheila. Hey, we're going to go over to the art table. We're going to do a little bit of drawing. A friend of mine, GrayChapel, had suggested that maybe, just maybe, I could draw a mantis being tonight. And so we'll go over to the art table, the drawing board, and we'll pursue drawing a mantis being, even though I don't really know what they look like, but I'll give it a shot, all right? So hang on. We're going to go over to the art table now. 3, 2, 1, boop! Hey, thanks. You made it to the table. So I think what I'm going to do today is to draw a mantis. I had one of my subscribers, not that I have a lot of them, talk about possibly doing a mantis being. And so that's what I'm going to do today, or at least try to draw one up. You know, those mantis beings, it's kind of weird if you think about it. Like, mantis beings, right? I mean, can you imagine a being that shows up in your bedroom at night and it looks like a praying mantis? I mean, that's just the weirdest thing to me. Like, again, from my standpoint, I would love to be able to understand them and to touch them. Not in a sexual way, but to understand their skin, to understand, you know, just to understand them. I think it would be just amazing, you know? You see one of these things show up in your bedroom and yet they're a million years more intelligent than we are. I mean, is that even viable? Like, is it all something that we've come to know as a fantasy, maybe? You know? I mean, I don't know. Trying to get the symmetry here for this. Haven't really drawn one of these before, so I'm trying to just get some symmetry down here, you know, possibly what it could be like. But I often wondered about what these things would look like, you know. Yeah, looks like my center point is going to be there. I've said this before in my videos, you know, if they showed up in your bedroom at night, I mean, you would be just as scared of them as they would of you. Well, of course, they're, you know, let's say they're a million years more advanced than we are. Well, they might not be scared of you at all. Maybe scared that you could fly off the handle somehow, you know, and hurt them in some way. But they probably aren't scared of us the way we would be scared of them. And again, anything that shows up in your bedroom at 2 o'clock in the morning is cause for concern, right? I mean, that's just kind of bizarre. That's kind of bizarre. But I've often wondered how these things would look, and you know, I don't want to, you know, they say be careful what you wish for, and I don't want to get myself into any trouble with any kind of a being, you know, like having them show up because for some reason they're watching my channel here or something, right? I could only be so lucky. But what if they were, and you know, I can't help but wonder about them. Like, I would want to ask them, like, what do you eat? What sustains you? Do you wear clothes, or do you not need to wear clothes, and why don't you need to wear clothes? And how does your world, how do they propagate, and how do they have anything like capitalism, or is it not like that? Is it like a hive mentality, you know? I often wonder about that. It's kind of a crazy thing. I often wonder about that. So what do these hive beings look like? You know, what do these mantis creatures look like? I mean, you can imagine what they would look like. Well, in one sense, I'm just trying to get an idea of what they might look like with, you know, their little mandible arms. And I know they've got probably more mandibles. I'm not, you know, I'm a closet entomologist, as I've said, and we know that there's probably all kinds of appendages and things that they have, if they're in fact like a praying mantis. Now, if they're not like a praying mantis, then we really don't know, do we? We really don't know any of this. I'm just making all this up. We have no idea what we're talking about here. So I'm just drawing away, making it all up. But in my mind, and from what I can remember of what these things look like, from the insectoid standpoint, it was something in this fashion. By the way, it's a nice night out here in the studio. Nice afternoon. It's a Saturday afternoon, and it's about 80 degrees today where I'm at. Of course, you guys don't know where I'm at. You can guess where I'm at. I always try to put something in all my videos in the background, the ones where you see me in the studio sitting in the chair with a mask on. I try to put something in my videos where you can actually get a hint about where I live. And only one person has guessed right on the button. Everybody else has been way off base, but I'm sure I'm giving it away right now because it's December and I'm telling you that it's 80 degrees where I'm at. So that only leaves the south, the west, the southwest. You know, it doesn't leave a lot of places with regard to the United States, you know. So anyways, there's a symmetry to all these beings, whether it be the lizard-like, reptilian. There's always a symmetry, you know. Always a symmetry. Just like with the humanoid form. I mean, in nature, there's symmetry in nature. Very seldom see, and I, you know, you guys can prove me wrong on this. You very seldom see asymmetry in nature. It's usually symmetry, and you see that a lot. Well, here we are again. I had to take a little bit of break. little cocktail on Saturday afternoon, you know. I'll apologize up front that I see a lot of videos where people are building things or doing things and they speed up the video. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to draw at my pace. And if you've watched a few of my videos, you know that a lot of times my videos will, or my drawings I should say, are very rough at the beginning. Very rough at the beginning, and I just keep working at them and plugging away at them and adding what I think something should look like. And I don't know what these mantis beings look like. I'm just speculating, you know. I always just speculate. That's my life, speculation. I'm a little frustrated today because, you know, I so much would like to understand these beings, and, you know, I wonder sometimes if this whole thing is just nothing but a complete fantasy or something that, you know, that I was listening to the 10th anniversary showing of Veritas Radio with, I want to say his name was Guy Fabregas? Guy Fabregas? I'm not sure if that's his name. Fabregas, I'm pretty sure is his last name. And everybody was calling in. He's had 10 years on Veritas Radio, and his first subscriber called in. Very first subscriber. I guess he's got like 70,000 subscribers. He's got quite the following. And I've just kind of stumbled upon him. You know, I'm a pretty intelligent guy, and I've been around the block, and I totally understand a lot about what's going on. But, you know, there are so many different broadcasts out there. You just can't follow them all. And I just happened to stumble upon his yesterday. I think I've listened to a few of them in the past, but I actually really listened to his 10-year anniversary broadcast yesterday. And anyways, his first subscriber talked about all of these different scenarios, like all of these that, you know, the Queen of England is a reptilian, and that you know, there's bases on the moon, and there's bases on Mars, and there's underground bases, and there's, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And I'm not taking nothing away from this guy that his first subscriber that called in. I don't even know who his name was, and I wouldn't mention his name anyways. I'm not taking anything away from him. I'm not saying he doesn't know what he's talking about. He sounded like a much more intelligent guy than myself, or somebody who's been around the block more so than myself. But, you know, it's like it dawned on me that there's a conspiracy around every corner. We live in a matrix. You know, the president's a chameleon, or a lizard, or some other kind of being. It's crazy. After a while, you just start to wonder, how many conspiracy theories are there? You know, I mean, really. And I guess they could all be true. I mean, everything that we know of, everything that we've been taught could be a lie. Everything. I mean, I grew up, like I've said before, I grew up as a Catholic, strict Catholic household. I have a brother who's a priest. I have a brother who's a Jesuit. And, you know, there's always a conspiracy against the Vatican, and I'd be the first to admit, you know, that the Vatican is just as much at fault for where we are all at in the world, and for the loss of their flock, leaving the church in droves. You know what I mean? I mean, I would argue that they're just as much at fault for this as anybody else, for the way we're at in this world, you know. Anyways, it's just weird to me. How many conspiracies can there be? I mean, I started to think, oh my God, I was getting depressed. I was actually getting depressed. I thought, how many things can possibly be going on in this world, you know, that we don't know about, or that we've been lied to, or, you know, is it that many? I mean, really? I could not believe that, you know. Could not believe it. Wanted to start putting some color in here. Just first time I've wanted to just kind of toy with some color. I'm just using some colored pencil right now. My wife just bought me for Christmas some Bob Ross t-shirts. Remember the painter Bob Ross? Guy that would paint like a masterpiece in a half hour on PBS? Bob Ross. Yeah, crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Just adding some color here. So there's going to be moments of silence as I'm going through this and adding just bits of color, you know. And trying to just see what we can get in terms of a little bit of color. I always like to add these juxtaposed colors together, you know, complementary colors, just to give it a little bit of interesting concept on this stuff for this Mantis. A Mutimer 100, right? A Mutimer 100. I don't have my notes in front of me, so I'm hoping. A Mutimer is who actually suggested. No, actually, you know what? It wasn't a Mutimer 100. It was GrayChapel. GrayChapel suggested that I draw a Mantis on my next go-round. So there you go. It was GrayChapel. A Mutimer 100, though. Cool guy, man. That guy's got some interesting concepts. Interesting concepts. I think I'm getting bit by a mosquito here in my studio, and it's really irritating me. So I'm on my leg as I'm trying to draw a little bit. Anyways, here we go. So let's get back to it. This will probably be this really long video, longest one I've ever had probably. You know, because I'm goofing off here, trying to figure out what everything is supposed to look like, you know. Anyways, we're getting there. We're getting there. Slow but sure. Slow but sure. Straighten that back out a little bit. And I'm going to check something out here. So you can imagine, again, one of these beings showing up, as I've said, in your bedroom at night. Decided to try to use a little bit of color for this round underneath my ink and see how it turns out. I've never actually tried this before on the air, or so, you know, or by myself actually. So what you're seeing here is an experiment in color, underlaying color, and I'm just going to play around here to go under my ink just to see what happens, and just trying different colors and see how it works out. Using just colored pencils, Prismacolors, and just to see how some of those might work out, you know. Just to see if there's some sort of a way to differentiate different body parts on this mantis here that I'm creating, you know. This will all go under as an underlying kind of color. Now we know, we've all seen these. If you look at a praying mantis, tend to be in relative shades of green, but I'm just kind of playing with some different colored pencils here, browns and yellows and greens and things like that, just to see what I can come up with, you know, before I put the rest of my ink down. So we're getting there. We're getting there, you know. I kind of like how this is looking up in here. So how we're differentiating the antenna area. Again, I'm not an expert on what a mantis being would look like. I'm just basically using an idea of maybe a praying mantis, and you know what a praying mantis might look like. Let me see. I just want to make sure I'm not too dark here. Compared to, you know, I'm just going to try to put some color in here and before I tighten everything up. So, again, my stuff is always kind of rough. Talking to a friend of mine, who I'm doing a very good friend of mine. I'll call him Dan, I guess, since I don't want to give his real name away. But we were talking a little bit, and he was watching one of my videos. He hasn't really tuned in too much, but he knows I'm into like this whole alien thing, and he thought that what I'm doing right now with this sketching and talking was a good fit for me. I kind of ramble on, and so I don't know if it is a good fit for me or not. I don't know. You know, I don't know. So there is some symmetry here on these things, you know. Some way, right? And I was kind of hoping that I could pull this together. I'm not liking really how it's turning out right this moment, but we'll see. Stick with it, you know, and see if we can pull it all together. Would be kind of cool if we could get it to, if I can get it to do some good shading here and stuff. But sometimes, you know, sometimes when I'm drawing stuff, I overwork it. And that's what happens. You know, you work on things for a while and they get good, and other times they don't. You know, with the eye here, I was trying to figure out a way. I know it was like there's a technique for that where it's kind of spiraled out, you know. Starts like that and it kind of spirals out. It's, you know, you can smear it a little bit if you want like that, but it's just trying to get some more, where's that green? Some more of that green color in there. Let's see, I think this side of his, let's make this side a little bit more in shadow, this whole side of the body over here. So again, this is where you can either overwork something or it turns out really well. So what I'm doing is I'm going to put some more line work in here on this side of the symmetry of his face. Put a little bit more line work in there. And I'll flush all this out. Anyways, getting back to that, what we were originally talking about was can you imagine one of these beings in your bedroom? And they come into your bedroom and they've got little gray aliens with them, right? They've got little gray aliens with them. And the gray aliens are doing their bidding in the sense that they're the robotic type aliens that are doing their bidding, that are taking orders from them, so to speak, right? They're taking their orders. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're completing a task, as it were. And so it makes you wonder, you know, what if these things, what if they were able to communicate with you? Remember, you know, in some of these stories that we've heard that there's clicking sounds, there's a lot of clicking. They make a bunch of clicking sounds, right? And so it makes you wonder, like, what would you do? I know I'd freak out. If somebody was in my bedroom at 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's not my family, and it's not my wife, it's not my children, I'm going to freak out a little bit. I'm not going to dig that too much. You know what I mean? That's kind of a freak out. So, I don't know. Let me do a little bit of tightening up with a little bit more ink work here. So, this is where it starts to come together a little bit more, you know. Get a fatter one in here. Yeah. And again, I don't know if I have the symmetry, you know, quite right. But it does help when you start putting these fatter lines in there, and every artist does it their own way, and that's fine, whatever you do, whatever works. I just like, it just seems to put a bit of a finishing touch in there for me. You can kind of see how it starts to come together, Get the segments and the little sections in there, It helps to pull it all together. And I know in a lot of these eyes, they're compound eyes, so you can imagine what if it was a compound eye, I don't know. Again, I could be overworking this, just thinking through just one concept of what this thing could look like. Clicking sound shows up in your bedroom, a million years more advanced than we are. I mean, it'd be a cool way to have a conversation with this thing, I think. It'd be a very cool way to have a conversation. A very cool way to have a conversation with these things. Would they even talk to you? Some of the stories I've heard is that they talk to you, but it's in your mind. So like, you're hearing them totally just like someone's talking to you. You're hearing them, but it's in your mind. So they're reaching out to you in that regard, And that would be freaky, I think. I wonder. That's. I think it could be interesting. I think it could be, Well, let's see. A couple more touches on this. Just to, bring it to life a little bit. Give it a little bit of more dimension to it. Just a little bit of shading in here. A little bit of green in there. It's kind of hard to, I'm in a weird position here drawing, so some of this stuff might not, blend well. But let's see, what was I going to do? Oh, I know what I was going to do. I wanted to put a little bit of, just to see if that works in his eye, just a little bit of a touch in his eye to give him some highlight. Right there, and right there, and then maybe something like that. Yeah, I guess that's it. About as good as it's going to get tonight, folks. So, mantis being, does that look like a mantis being? Or does that look like a praying mantis? But can you imagine something like that looking at you at 3 o'clock in the morning, or on a ship, and it's talking to you, and it's way more intelligent than we are. You know, that's a scary proposition. Anyways, this might be the last one in the series right now. I might start drawing something different. I might not even do any drawing. I don't know. Guys, let me know what you think. I know I don't have a lot of subscribers. I do really appreciate you guys tuning in and taking a look at what I'm doing. And I hope you like what I'm doing. It's always a lot of fun. And, you know, I really do like what I'm doing. This is fun. And I just hope that you guys like it too. And anyways, let me know what you think. You know, I wanted to just say one other thing too. I noticed the last few times that I've signed off, I haven't been espousing my taking care of people pontification. So with that, I'll say take care of your animals, love your cats and dogs, take care of them, be kind to people on social media, be kind to people out in public. Let's try to change the paradigm and really be more like brothers and sisters and take care of each other, help each other, because, you know, we're in a lonely little world out in the middle of nowhere, and we might be the only humankind in the whole universe. If there's beings like this out there, we might be the only ones that are in human form. And so let's be kind to one another, okay? Take care of your parents. They've taken care of you all your life, all right? And for now, I'll sign off, and thanks again for tuning in. Hope I didn't bore you too much this time. Ciao. A couple of more just little finishing touches here. Let's just make sure we can differentiate the mandible area down here, front of the nose, or whatever that is. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, cool.